Hey guys, in this tutorial we are going to discuss about data-driven framework using ExcelSheet. So in our previous tutorials we have discussed like how we can pass the data using data provider, and like in another tutorial we already discussed how we can read the data from ExcelSheet. Now we are going to use both of those tutorials here, like or tutorials or concepts. So I would prefer if you, before going this tutorial, you can go through with those tutorials to understand this clearly. So I'll mention those links in the description of this tutorial. So now here data driven framework we are going to discuss. So first of all we need to understand why do we need data driven framework, right? Data driven framework is which is driven by data. Like when we are going to use a lot of data, then we are calling that as a data driven framework. Suppose you can see in this Excel sheet. So here I'm taking an example of 10 records, but if we could have many more results or many more these records, right? So now why do we need that? So just to make you understand, I make this diagram. So here you can say in our test case suite we have multiple test cases, right? Test case 1, test case 2, test case 3. We are using all these test cases, we are checking the login functionality of the site, right? So and we are having the data from same data store. So instead of using the data in all those scripts the way we used through data provider static data, so it's better to make one data store with either Excel sheet or the CSV file, and we can read those data and we can pass that data to this test case 1, test case 2, test case 3, right? So so that's the best use, that's how we need the data driven framework. And in this tutorial we are going to see how we can take the data from Excel sheet and how we can pass that to the script. So now let's see. Okay, so I'm deleting this previous one. So here you can see in our previous tutorial we have discussed how we can pass the data to the script using data provider, right? So data provider is nothing but it's an annotation of testng, right? So here we pass this static data which we mentioned in the script only, but now what we are going to do, we are getting this data from our Excel sheet, right? So this data we are going to use, right, whatever there in the Excel sheet. So now let's see how we can do that. As I told you, we already discussed how we can take the data from data provider. So in our current tutorial we are not going to change this code, this would be as it is. So only thing we are going to change is this part, right? Instead of this static data, we are going to read the data from Excel sheet. So in this framework we'll understand how we can do that. So before proceeding further, let's create a class that would be configuration class, where we'll use all those methods like which we can use in this in this class, right? So let's create one class. So let's give it a name as Excel config, right? So in this Excel config we'll declare all those methods which we are going to use in our main class, right, in this one, so that we can get the data through using this Excel config sheet. So let's create those functions. Public Excel config. So the class name and the method name is same, so this is constructor we are going to make, right? So let's what we'll do here, first we'll open the file, and to open the file we need the file path. So let's make a Excel path. So when we'll get this Excel path from this class, then we can use that here. So we'll after getting that path, we'll open that Excel sheet. So we'll use that file class, and from where this is coming from, java.io package. Okay, so once you move your mouse over on this one, so you can import that one. So now we have loaded that Excel path, Excel file. Now we need to load that file in bytes. So for that, file input stream. So this will load the file in form of bytes. So this class, once you'll move your mouse over to this where it is showing error, so it will show these methods like, so from which package is coming. So we need to import this one, right? So it's gone. So once we have loaded the file in form of let's give it a meaningful name, src shows. So we are getting the source path of that file where that file is located, right? And then yes. Okay, so actually it's file input stream. Okay, sorry. So now it's, what's that? Are we making some? Okay, sorry. Yeah, it's a src image. Yeah. So now it's throwing an exception. So let's handle that exception using try block. Try. Here we can do, and catch. Exception. So we can print that exception. And dot get message. So whatever the exception will return, that message we can print. So using this way, try and catch, we can handle that exception, right? So till that here we have loaded that files in the Excel file in the bytes, in the form of bytes. So now we need to load the workbook, right? So workbook, I told you, it's nothing but this whole Excel page, whatever you are seeing here is the workbook, right? So, and that workbook we can use XSSF workbook class wd equal to XSSF workbook. Okay, and we can pass that FIS, right? So this one is coming from Apache POI, right? We have discussed in our previous tutorial when we see how we can read Excel. See, here we discussed in our previous tutorial. I'll mention the link of this tutorial in our current tutorial so that you can go through with that one. So now our file is loaded, Excel sheet is loaded. Now we need to, we'll write one more method, public and string get data. So we'll, using this method, we'll get the data from the Excel sheet. So in this one, integer and sheet index will take, then integer row ID, then integer cell ID. Okay, so we'll get these three parameters when we'll call this function, and then we can take this method wb dot. So it's not showing any method. Why? Because this variable or this object has the scope is limited to this function, because this is declared inside this. So if we want to make it global, so we can declare it outside this method inside the class, right? Now whatever, like as many number of methods are there in the class, we can use this object, right, variable. So if you'll see, and first we need to remove this one from here, right? So now if you'll see, control spacebar, you can see all the methods, right? So get sheet, and since we are getting the index, so we'll use the method get sheet at index, sheet index. Okay, so now we have got the sheet. So now we came to here on this sheet, right? Sheet index is 0 1, so 0 we already came. Now we need to come here on this row, this column, and then this value we need to read, right? So for that we have method get row, so int row id dot get cell id, right? We are passing this variable dot. Now we came to this cell, and now we need to take this value, right? Get string cell value. Okay, and we can store this in string variable. Okay, and now we can return this because the return type is string, so we need to return the value. Only then this error will go away, right? So at the end of this we can return value. So in this way, using this method, we can get the value. So you will understand the importance of this config file while I am writing these standard methods, so that we will keep on calling them, and every time once we'll call them, we just need to pass these values, and based on these values we'll keep on getting the data from the Excel sheet, like first time this one, second time this one, then third, fourth. So with the help of this method we'll get the value. So now we need to get the row numbers of this sheet, like just to tell our script like how many times we need to get these values. So we should have up to row number like 1 to 10. We need to run the loop 10 times. So for that we need to have that row numbers, right? So we'll write one more method, public and integer get row number. Okay, so in this one we will get one sheet index, we'll pass that one, and we'll get this one. So same thing, we will keep on showing this error until we return that value. So let's say int row num equal to wb dot sheet, not sheet, get sheet at index is sheet index. Why it's not showing this one? wb dot get sheet index. Okay, so it's showing it will return some. Let's store this one in a string value. Okay, get sheet, we are using the wrong method. Dot get sheet at this one we'll use, right? Sheet index, now it's showing, right? On which index? So if we got the sheet, then we can get, so better to store this in some string sheet. Okay, so now it's showing, it's turning this ExcelSheet from Apache UI. Okay, so don't worry about this one. Let's see now. Sheet dot get your last row number. Okay, so it will return the row number. So we can store this one in an integer variable. Okay, so if we come to this sheet, for last row it will return the index. Actually for 10 it will return 9, right, because index is always starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10. So 10, for 10 it would be 9, and for 9 it would be 8. So actually it will return 9 here. So but we have total 10 rows, so we can increment this by 1. Okay, and now we can return this one. So that error is gone and our Excel config file is ready. Now we need to use this config file here so that we can get the data from the ExcelSheet. So here we will do changes. So first we'll create the object of that Excel config file so that we can call these methods here, right? And you know how to create the object using new keyword. So since this is constructor, so we can pass the ExcelSheet path here, right? It will directly, once we are initializing this object, creating this object, it will be initialized because this is constructor. So it will call this method, this one, Excel config, and this method, this is class name. So it will expecting the Excel path, so we need to pass that Excel file path, and I have stored that Excel file here in my C drive. Not here, come back, C, Selenium, and this one, test data, right? So we can take that Excel path and copy and paste this one, and in this one here and paste. It is showing the error. Why? Because in Java we can't use single slash, so we need to use double forward slash. Right, so now the error is gone, and now we can get the row number to declare the array size, like how many, like the based on number of records will declare the array size, right? So suppose we have total 10 records in our ExcelSheet, right? So we need to mention the array of 10 by 2, right? So it should be 10 by 2, but we need to get the record number of rows, right? So we can do one thing, integer row num equal to, okay, config. We use this object to call that method dot get row num. Okay, and the sheet index is always 0 because we are using the first sheet in that workbook, right? So since we are using this sheet and index is 0 for this, we can use pass this one. So once you will pass this one, the control will come here to get row num, the 0. So based on 0 it will get that workbook, load the sheet for that one, first sheet, and then it will, using this method, it will get the last row num. So this one, it will get the index of this one, so it will be 9, and we'll pass that 10 will come to this sheet. So here we can mention row num, right? So now our array would be 10 by 2. So now we'll run the loop 10 times. We can remove these values from here. For I equal to 0, I is less than row num I plus plus. So it will run the loop 10 times. Now in this one we'll store the username, and in this one we'll store the password, right? So this will keep on changing based on the loop, like our row. So it's for first row, so it will be I, and this will be I. So first time it will be 0 0 0 0 1, then 1 0 1 1. So like 0 0 0 1 1 1 1 0 1 1, right? It will go like this. So here in this one 0 0 we'll store this value, and then in 0 1 we'll store this password. Okay, so let's get that using config.get data, right? So we'll use for sheet index always 0. First sheet we are getting the data. Row ID will use I, since it will for first row we are running. So I. Cell ID would be 0 in this case from the first column, because we only 2 columns, right? So done. And then this one we need to change config.get data. So sheet index will be same from the same sheet we want. Row ID would be same, right? I, because this is row, first row 0 and 0 0 and 0 1, right? So in this case cell ID would change to 1. Okay, and we can close this for loop. So it will copy all those sheet entries or sheet records in this array, and we can pass this array using return statement to here, this function. So this function will get the all the values and it will keep on passing. So let's run this and we'll see how it's going to work. So actually it will run 3 times, since the Excel sheet which I saved that has 3 records, but you can mention any number of records in your Excel sheet. So here you go. First time failed, not matching. Second time it would pass. So now it will log in. Done. And third time again it will fail. See, and done. So here you can see 1 passed and 2 failed, right? So if you want to see proper results, then go to test output folder, default suite, and you can see this HTML file here. See, here it's showing the proper report. So for first test method it passed the username parameters, username 1, password 1, and we got this error, which was, and for second as well. And then for this one where username is test1param@gmail.com and India123, it's passing the result. So see how beautifully it's showing in this report. So we can close this one, and we are all set with the data driven framework. If you are not understanding it, please go through it once or twice or thrice, and I would prefer like if you can go ahead with the previous tutorial first, like how we can pass the data using data provider and how we can read the Excel file, then you can understand it easily. That won't be an issue. So if still you are seeing an issue, then let me know. Thank you very much guys. Thanks for visiting this. Please, if you like it, please subscribe and like my video. Thank you very much. Keep in touch.